Daf is Masechta Makos Daf Chaf Aleph, and we're going to begin from Hamashchis by the green on Daf Chaf Amud Beis. Just to have the picture, let's do the yesterday's picture where you have the Pa'as Zakonai, which you're not allowed to, is the picture over here. You're not allowed to shave that part of the hair. What's harder is the beard. The beard, there are many, many different opinions on how to decide what's usher on the beard. There are 5 different points on the face, and different Rishonim quote 5 different points, and because of that, therefore, it's very difficult to use any razor blade on your hair, on your beard. So here it is, another picture with all the different opinions. If you look closely, I sent it out, the different points on the face. So let's just read. The Mishnah says, "Mashkes pa'as zakane." If you destroy the corners of your beard with a razor blade. Tanar Rabbanan pa'as zakanai means soif zakanai, the extremes of your beard. The ezos soif zakanai, what is called the extremes of your beard? Sheboilas zakanai, the stalks of your beard. So I guess there's points on your face where the bones meet, and 5 points on the face, and therefore it's like the grains on the stalk. We're here where there's a stubble of hair that could be there, I guess. Shiboilus zakanai. Mishnah says, if you scratch yourself, and I guess, and you cause blood to come out of yourself, you get a lav. You get a lav. And you get malchus for that. Tanar Rabbanan. But not because you scratched yourself because you're in pain, but not any type of pain. Tanar Rabbanan, Seret. You're not allowed to scratch yourself. Yochel, I would have thought, Afilu Soret al Beis. So if you scratched yourself, if your house fell down and you scratched yourself and made blood come out because your house fell down, or your ship that sunk in sea, so you took a big financial loss, I might think you get a lav. Talmud Bavli Daf Yomi. It's only ein chayev elo al ameis bavad. You're only liable if you scratch yourself over somebody that just passed away. And now the Braisa says, "Umenayin, how do I know? Lemasoret chamesh sritos al meis echad." If you scratch yourself 5 scratches because of one person died, so you scratched yourself in 5 places. Because of one person, shuchai v'kol achas v'achas. Talmud loymer, because yichai for each and every one v'seret. It says an extra vav v'seret. L'chai al kol srita v'srita. Every scratch, and you say, I'm scratching myself because of this dead person. I'm scratching myself because of the same dead person. So in each and every scratch that you do, you're going to get a lav. Rabbi Yosi says, "Minayin, how do I know? Lamasoret srita achas al hey mesim." If you scratch yourself 1 scratch because of 5 dead people, so you scratched yourself, but it's for 1 scratch, but you did it because 5 people died. Shuchayev al kol achas achas. You're chayev on each and every one. You're going to be chayev 5 malchus. Talmud loyma lo nefesh l'chayev al kol nefesh v'nefesh. It says in Pasuk Lo Nefesh that teaches you Yechayev for each and every mace that you're doing it for Yechayev, even if it's just 1 scratch. Says the Gemara, how can you use Lo Nefesh to teach you that idea? Lo Nefesh was used to teach you that you're not Chayev if you scratch yourself because you lost a ship or your house fell down. We already used the Nefesh to teach you only for somebody that passes away. That's when you're chayiv for srita, but not. And so, how do you have it freed up to teach you that you're chayiv on every person that dies, for every nefesh that dies, even if it's 1 sarita? So we go to Chaf Aleph Amud Aleph, and since the Gemara Kisova Rabbi Yosi held srita ugdida achasi. The word srita and gedida, even though it says, the pasuk says you shouldn't do a seret lenefesh, and the pasuk says leisitnu b'vsarchem, and it also says loisisigoydu loisisibu karcha. So the pasuk says alames. So the word gedida and srita are both the same lav. It doesn't matter the different words. One means you're making a cut because of using an instrument, and one is you're using a fingernail. But it's the same la. It's the same a result of the lav, and therefore you're going to get two lavin if you do. Therefore, you get two punishments, two malchus, if you do it with a keli. So gedida is usually with a keli, srita is with your finger. So, but it already says lames. So already says it, the word lames. So I already know lames that you're not allowed to do it only for a dead person, for somebody that died. So that frees up lo nefesh to teach you the other idea that you chayev al kol nefesh v'nefesh. Amar Shmuel. Shmuel said, Hamasaret, somebody scratches himself not with his fingernail, but bekli, using a instrument. Let's say he uses a penknife. So he scratches himself using a penknife. So then Yechayev two lavin, one because of Masaret and one because of Megadid. Because Shmuel's of the opinion, like Rabbi Yossi, that Srid and Gedida are one, and it's the same idea, type of lav. And if you scratch yourself using a keli, you are going to get two lav. So now the Gemara says like this: Meisvei, we ask you a question. Srita ugdida achasi. Srita ugdiga is just one lav. It's one lav. It's a chabura, but it's both. It's wounding yourself, but it's both alames. But srita is only if you do it with your hand. Ugdida is only if you do it with an instrument. So this is a difficult against Shmuel, who said that both of them are meant to say that it doesn't matter if you use a yad or a keli, both the same, you're going to get two lavin. So this brisa seems you only get one lav. And it says the Gemara, Hu ta'amar ka Rabbi Yossi, he paskins like Rabbi Yossi. That Rabbi Yossi held that there are two different lavin. Tano kanama kabei de Rabbi Yochanan. A mace, bein b'yad, bein b'kli chayiv. On a mace, whether you use your fingernail or you use a keli, you're chayiv. Al avodah zarah, but if you bloodlet, if you scratch yourself you want to show your devotion to an avodah zarah, so then biyad, if you do it with your fingernail, you're chayiv. B'kli, if you use like a penknife, potter. So to be part of the cult of avodah zarah, if you use an instrument, you will be potter. Says the Gemara, Ipcha, the pasuk describes the opposite. By the story of the Nevi'e Habal with Eliyahu Hanavi, the Torah describes the worship of avodah zarah at that time, that they would make an incision with an instrument, with a sword or a spear, to show their devotion to avodah zarah. So we see that an avodah zarah way of doing it is by making an incision using an instrument. Ela'ema will say like this: biyad, if you're doing it for avodah zarah and you're scratching yourself with your fingernail, potter, you're potter. But if you use an instrument, then you're chayiv. So we're going to say the opposite. With a keli, you're going to be chayiv. Again, for serving avodah zarah, that's so you have to use an instrument. Now we're just going to say the chayiv al roish. How many lavim do you get if you go to a barber and he takes off both payas? How many lavim do you get? Two, the Mishnah said. Where are the payas located? So again, machve Rav Sheshes ben Pirkei Reisha. Rav Sheshes demonstrated it's the sides of the temple. See, certain things you need visualizations. And then the Gemara says, I can't describe it to you, you have to see it. If you shave your beard with a razor blade, you get 5 lavin. Where are the 5 lavin? So the Gemara says again, Machvi Rav Sheshes says, Ben Birke Dikna, by the points on the face. So again, Rav Sheshes was demonstrating it, but the Gemara doesn't have a picture, so that's why you have different machlekes rishonim. What are the 5 points? Rab Lezer says, if you shave yourself with a razor blade, he argues against the Tanakama. Tanakama says you get 5 malchus. Rab Lezer says, Ksav echad lavhu, you only get 1 malchus. The Eina Chayev, you're not Chayev for your beard, Achitlenu Betar, unless you use a razor blade. Tana Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, Upas Zakonim Loi Galecho. It says by a Kohen also that he's not allowed to cut the corners of his beard. Galecho means to shave. Yachol, I might think, I feel a Gilchem B'Misraim Yechayev. If the Kohen, I would think that if the Kohen cut his hair cut his beard with a pair of scissors, I would think he would be liable because it says don't cut your beard. Talmud Loimer, the pasuk says by a regular yid, lo shashchis pa'az zekanecha. There, the Torah uses an expression, don't destroy your beard. So destroying is only using like a razor blade, where like sort of it uproots the hair along with some of the roots. So that's why it says loisashchis, loisashchis. If it just said, if you have loisashchis, yochol im liktoy b'malkit revhitne yechayev. I might think that if you use a plane or a tweezers, you'll also be chayev. We saw this picture over here yesterday. I might think, you see this on the screen, I might think that here, if you use a tweezer or a plane that's used to shave wood, and you get the same result of ripping your beard out, I might think you'll be chayiv as well. Talmud Loima, the pasuk says, lo yigalechu. It has to be a normal way that people shave their beards. And those are instruments not normally used to shave your beard. Using a normal cutting instrument that destroys the beard. That must be zatar, it must be a razor blade. Says the Gemara, Reb Lezer holds that even if you use the tweezer and you use the plane, you're also going to be liable. So the Gemara says, Manashach, if you had Gzeir Shava between what it says by a coin, Pasuk Kodim Lo Yegalecho, and Lo Shashchis Pasuk Kanecha that it says by Yisrael, so then Liboyatar, then only a tar, only a razor blade, you'll be held liable. So he should agree with the Chachamim. He doesn't have a Gzeir Shava, so then when Misparayim Nami, you should also be chayev. In other words, since the Torah, if you don't have a Gzeir Shava, and if you just look what a kohen, what it's pasuk that it says about a kohen in Parshas Emor, pas zakonam lo yigalechi, can't cut his beard. So then, even with scissors, you shouldn't be able to cut your beard. And it says the Gemara, la'olam gomer Gzeir Shava. He has a Gzeir Shava that it's only type of cutting that uproots the hair. And he holds that this is not exclusive in the pasuk, since this can be used in an extreme case to cut your beard. So it's considered part of the prohibition of shaving your beard. So he held that plain and a rehitni, a tweezer, malket and rehitni, you'll also be chayav. New Mishnah. Hakoisif ksoivis kaka, someone who writes a incision. He makes like an indentation and a tattoo, basically. Kosev, let's say he wrote a tattoo. V'loy kikeya, he didn't make an incision, not an incision, but like a recess. He didn't make a carved recess to put the ink in. Or kakeya, he made a carved recess like kasa, but they didn't put any dye in there. Ein chayev, he's not liable. Yichtov v'kakeya, he writes something and he makes a carved recess in the skin and like an indentation in the skin, and that's a tattoo. Biyadei, with your hand, uv'chol, with appropriate ink. Uv'chol davashu roshim, doesn't matter what type of ink, black ink or even blue ink. So that's the opinion of making a tattoo. Again, if you do that, you get malchus. Reb Shimon ben Yehuda mishum Reb Shimon Omer. Reb Shimon says, "Ein chayev ad sheyichta shem es Hashem Hashem." Reb Shimon is going to say that you only chayev only if you write the name of an avodah zarah there. Like you write the name of avodah zarah. I'll show a picture of this on the screen. This guy wrote Yeshu on his back in Hebrew. So if you wrote that, so then that is the Isser. You're not allowed to write a tattoo, Ani Hashem, I'm God. So, of course, Reb Shimon would agree that if you write any writing on your back, it's Asr, but you only get Malchus if you wrote the name of an Avodah Zarah. From the Pasuk, it says Ani Hashem. Amalei Rav Acha b'nei Rav Ashi Achi Yichtav Ani Hashem Mamish. Did Reb Shimon mean you have to write God's name, and that's the Isser of tattoo? Amalei, like we explained, that's not what Rab Shimon meant. Tony Bar Kapara, Bar Kapara explained Rab Shimon. Until you write in Avodah Zarah, you write Yashka on your back, then you're chayev. Shnema ksoivis kaka lo yisitnu b'chem ani Hashem. Ani Hashem v'lo acha. What the pasuk is saying, don't write tattoos because you're a Jew. And this way of writing tattoos was done by people who worship Avodah Zarah. That is why it says Ani Hashem. But again, like I said, Rav Shimon would agree you're not allowed to write anything on a tattoo. Any tattoo is asur, but you would only get malchus according to Rav Shimon is only if you write the name of Avodah Zarah. Now the Gemara extends it a little bit. Omar Rav Malkiyo, Omar Rav Adabar Ahava. Also, a person's not allowed to put burnt ashes on his wound, and that was a healing. If you put ashes on your wound, it's a healing. But the problem is it leaves a mark there. It looks like you have a tattoo. So there they extended it. Now this name Malkiah doesn't appears, and we're never sure how do you spell the name. So Omar Rav Nachman Reid Ravika, Rav Nachman Reid Ravika said, Shaput, Shefachos, V'Gumois, 3 places in Shas where it said, you should know, it's not Rav Malkiyah said it, it's another person, Malkiyu said it. Beluri is Eifa Mikla, which is our case, Ugvina, it's Rav Malkiyah said it. Malkiyah is more feminine. Rapapa Omar, Rapapa gave you another way to remember it. Masnitin or Masnitin, if he's commenting on a Mishnah or a Brisa, it's Rav Malkiyah, like our Mishnah. It's Malkiyah commenting on our Mishnah in Mishnayos. But if it's Shmaitza, if he's just telling a teaching, it's Rav Malkiyu. With Simonach, the way to remember it is Masnisa, Mishnah is Malkasa. It's the one that has the more feminine sounding name. A Brisa is a feminine word, and Malkiyah is a feminine sounding name. Our Mishnah is like a feminine word, Masnita, so therefore it's Malkiyah who said a comment regarding our Mishnah. Now, my Benayu, it could be a difference between Rav Papa and Rav Adar Bar Ahava. So the answer is, my Benayu between Rav Nachman and Rav Papa, Shvachos, according to Rav Papa, is really Rav Malkiyah said it. Anyway, the Gemara is going back to making tattoos. Rabbevi Barabaya Kopet, he was very particular. Afila Arivda de Kisla. Even if he made an incision by bloodletting, right? If he would not put ashes on there, he would not put ashes there. But Ravashi is the halacha. Kol mokom sheyesh shamak. If there is a wound there and you're putting the ashes there, so makos mechiachalav, everybody sees you have a wound there, and therefore they know you're not trying to make a tattoo, so it wouldn't be a problem to do it. Now the Mishnah says like this: Nazir shayisoyse yain kol hayayim. If the Nazir was drinking, cups of wine all day, ein chayiv elachas. If you warned him and he kept drinking, so he only chayiv 1 malchus. Amru loy al tishta. If they told him don't drink, and then he took al tishta or don't drink. And he drinks chayiv al kol achas v'achas, then he's chayiv on every one. And obviously they told him don't drink because you're going to get malchus. So every time he's going to take a new drink, he's going to chayiv on each and every warning. Now a nazir, he was in a grave. He was in a cemetery. So and you warned him, hey, you're nazir, you're not allowed to go into a cemetery. He's only chayiv 1 lav. 1 malchus. Don't go into that cemetery because you're matame yourself. And he does it. And I guess if he does it again, he's staying in there. You matame yourself. He's chayiv on every one. You don't say, I guess since he became tamei, so let him stay tamei. No, we tell him you're a nazir still. And every time he's going to be matama himself, and he has a warning, he's going to be chayiv another malchus. A nazir is not allowed to take a haircut. If he took 1 long haircut, he's only liable for 1 malchus. They told him, don't take this haircut. And they cut off a little bit of hair. And then they warned him again, don't continue the haircut. And he kept continuing the haircut, so he got 2 warnings. For every warning that he got, he gets another malchus. Same idea. A man was wearing kalayim. The entire day, if they told him, you're not allowed to put it on, and he puts it on, he's only chayiv 1 malchus. They told him, don't wear it. And between each and every warning, he took off the suit and put it back on. chayiv al kalachas v'achas. Then when he re-put it back on, he's chayiv again for that new warning of not to wear shatnez. Now the Mishnah says, yesh choyrish telem echad. Mishnah is going to tell you, imagine a guy who's plowing one row in a field, and he's going to get 8 averis. So that's one plowing with an animal. What's the 8 averis? How could you make such a case up? So he says like this: let's say you plow using an ox and a donkey at the same time. So that's klayim. If they're leading the plow machine, so then you get an isser of chayrish with klayim. The ein mukdashim, and suppose this shar or this chamar was both b'chayrim, well, you're not allowed to benefit from b'char. You have to give it to the kohen. So then you get another lav. V'klayim b'kerem, and by the plowing of the field, some of the dirt popped out and covered and planted, seeds. Planted klayim in a vineyard, planted, let's say, apple seeds and a wheat seed and a barley seed next to a grape seed. So if it did that, so it's chayev another lav. Ubashvius, and if you're doing this on Shemitah, you get another lav. V'yomtiv, if you're doing it on Yomtiv, you get another lav. And or the kohen v'nazir, or if you're a kohen and a nazir, the base tuma, and you were plowing in a cemetery. So if you count it up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 and 8, because the shar is a bachar and the kamar is a bachar, so you get 7 and 8 lav. So here you're going to get an example. Guy does 8 lavim with one. He gets 8 malchus. Let's say the guy that was leading the animals doing the charisha, he was wearing klein, so he'll get a 9th lav. Amar loy eina Hashem. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about somebody plowing. We're not talking about he's doing a lav like wearing shatnez, when what his action is klayim, is plowing. Amalehem, they said to them, Afa Nazir Lahim Hu Hashem. But the Nazir has nothing to do with plowing. The Nazir's Avera and the Kohen's Avera is because he's in the cemetery. It has nothing to do with the act. So if you're going to minus me out, I can minus something from you out, Kohen and Nazir. Anyway, the Gemara continues. The Gemara says, Amar Rav Bevi, Amar Rav Yosi, Paishit v'loivish mamish, oy afila machnis umoitzi beis yad unkali shaloi. So the question was, does the Mishnah mean that for shatnez, if you want to be chayiv and each and every time, do you have to take off the whole suit and then put it back on in order to be chayiv the next time? Or is it enough, let's say, just to remove your hands from the sleeve? No, you have to actually take off the jacket and then put it back on in order to be mechayiv again. But if you're wearing the jacket and they say, "Oh, you're wearing shatnez, take it off," you're wearing shatnez, you'll only be chayiv 1 lav. Rav Ashi says no. If you leave it on for enough time that you had the opportunity to take off the jacket and put it back on, then chayiv. You chayiv every time. So Rav Ashi is very strict about it. So a guy puts on a jacket that has shatnez, he doesn't need to take it off again to be mechayiv the second lav. If he just keeps it on, that he could have taken it off and put it back on, he'll be chayiv for every time they warn him that you're wearing shatnez. Yesh chayrish telem. So the Gemara says, Amar Rab Yanai, we'll stop in 3 minutes here. 2 minutes. Rab Yanai said, B'chabura nimnu v'gamru hachayfa b'klayim loike. If you just throw dirt on 3 seeds that are in the ground, you get the malchus. So in other words, let's say 3 seeds are in a little hole in the ground, klayim seeds, wheat, barley, and a grape seed. And all you did was throw the dirt on top of it, you get malchus. Amal lehen Rabbi Yochanan said, Lav Mishnah Seinu Hizu, isn't Rabbi Yanai telling us the Mishnah? That's what our Mishnah says. Yesh chayrish telem echad b'chayiv olav mishum shmoyne lavim, a chayrish b'shar v'chamar v'eim k'dashim v'klayim b'kerem. So, how is he planting klayim in a klayim kerem? How is he planting klayim if he's just leading the animals to plow a field? How does that happen? He is covering up the seeds that are in the ground. Oh, so that's how he gets that love. So that's the same idea. So Rabbi Yanai said a statement. Rabbi Yochanan said that's what our Mishnah is discussing. So Rabbi Yanai said, if I didn't lift up the piece of pottery, would you have found a pearl underneath? In other words, the way I set you up like a layup, that because I explained it to you, now you were able to explain the Mishnah. Amalei Rish Lakish Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan said, he said to Rabbi Yochanan, Ilav, the kilsa gavra rabba havamina masnisim money. If not for Rabbi Yanai saying such praises about you, Rabbi Yochanan, I would have said that the Mishnah is going according to somebody else. In other words, you didn't actually throw dirt on the Kalayim. What the chayrish b'klayim means, you actually saw Klayim that was already planted and you didn't do anything about it. And if someone has Klayim in his field and he knows about it and doesn't do anything about it, Rabbi Akiva, I would have said that's what our Mishnah means. Because I would say Mishnah's Rabbi Akiva, the Omar who said Klayim, Hamakayim Klayim, if you keep Klayim in your field and you don't do anything about it, like you get Malchus. My Rabbi Akiva, which is Rabbi Akiva, and this will end. The Tanya we learned in the Braisa, Hamanakesh, someone who weeds, V'amachapa Beklayim, or he covers the dirt onto seeds, like you get Malchus. Rabbi Akiva Omer Af Hamakayim. Even if you didn't do anything to plant the Klayim, you just allow it to grow, you know about it, and you don't uproot it, you get Malchus. Concludes the Gemara, my Talmud Rabbi Akiva. What's the reason of Rabbi Akiva? Tanya, we learned to the Braisa, the Torah tells you don't plant Klayim. Ainly Elazarei, I only know if you plant Klayim. Mekayim Minayim, how do you know if you keep Klayim in your field, you get the Malchus? Talmud Loima, Behem Techaloi Serbia, Klayim Sot Chaloi. We darshan it that since the Torah put the word Klayim next to the word Sotcha and Loi, so we can read it all as one statement. Klayim in your field should not be. In other words, that even once you know about it and you don't do anything about it, you're going to get the Malchus. And that's what I would have thought, that's what the Mishnah means when you chayrish telem echad, you chayav because of Klayim. Not because you're planting or doing anything, but I would think that the Mishnah is Rabbi Akiva. Okay, we'll stop over here.